What's up, guys? Hope your day is going well so far. Let's cut straight to the chase. Lots of people have analyzed the new Deltarune trailer, like I have a few days ago. Check that out after the video. And also have analyzed the new Deltarune newsletter that Toby posted a while ago. Well, a while ago being the same day as the trailer, which was 2 days ago. But I also made a video on that I chose to not post because it seemed a bit redundant. But I have a new idea here that I don't see a whole lot of on the internet yet, and that is looking at the new Deltarune website, because it has a brand new revamped website and also the brand new frequently asked questions page. So I want to take a look at those two. Well, technically it's one thing, I guess, but those things right now. So I will direct your attention to the screen while I go up here. And oops, well, that's not what it's supposed to be. There we go, we're back. So here we have the new Deltarune website, Deltarune chapters 1 through 4. Still crazy to see this. Instead of there being a 2 here, there's a 4 here. And then we have the countdown, the timer. We're almost there. It's only 2 months away, so strap in, stay tuned. And we have the trailer, of course, which I already have a video on, once again, so watch that after this one. Then the neat part that I noticed immediately are these towers that resemble the towers from the borders that we see in the article that I talked about in the previous video. This basically confirms a Church Dark World, but what's very interesting here is that he chose to do this as opposed to anything else. He could have put anything in this website that has to do with any of the previous chapters. We could have done something from Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, even if you wanted to stay more like with the newer content. But he chose to do these like Gothic church, like cathedral pillars, right? These towers that also feature the Deltarune. These are essentially just a lower fidelity version of the border that I talked about in the last video, but we can still see the Deltarunes all over these things. So this is obviously a Church Dark World at this point, almost confirmed 100%. I won't say 100% until we actually see it happen, but where else could it be? Really, like reasonably at least. And this is interesting to me because these towers that have the Deltarune, like the angel symbol on it, obviously a very important aspect of Deltarune is religion and the town's religion and the angel and this and that. So that's why Chapter 4 is going to be very important to see what happens there, because Chapter 4 should be a great opportunity to get some real lore. You know that Chapter 3 won't be super lore heavy, but Chapter 4, at that point you'd think that it would be. If 3 isn't, then 4 should be, especially since that's the last chapter that will be available at the time. I'm expecting some kind of big revelation akin to Rousey talking about the roaring in Chapter 2, probably even bigger than that. And the presence of these church pillars, to me, suggests that we are right in assuming that religion and church is going to be an important aspect of the story, because of all the things that Toby could have done. He put these church pillars here, so he wants people to associate this kind of religious aspect with Deltarune, since it's the first thing you see on the website. So we have the trailer here, we have the platforms, Steam, the Switches, the PS4 and the PS5. We have a page for the demo, which is chapters 1 and 2, which is a very generous demo, because the demo is like the size of Undertale, essentially, with even more stuff in it. Like, I would say that our current Deltarune is bigger and better and, like, more high quality, at least effort-wise, than Undertale. There's more expressive and, more expressive sprite work and animation, lots more mechanics and systems and that kind of stuff. Obviously, a much more in-depth battle system and whatnot. So, this is a very generous demo, once again. So, we know that this is basically the same stuff that we already know. This is the same kind of as the Steam page, essentially. And, what else? These are some screenshots. Now, this screenshot, in the previous video, I said this might be Chapter 1. This might be, like, us talking to Sans about the phone number that he gives us. That's wrong. This can't be the case, because Susie is here. And I had forgotten that Susie does not accompany us during Chapter 1, and Sans is not out here in the house during Chapter 2, or by Drillbees, rather. Sans is, I guess. He's in his little, grocery store, which I'm pretty sure is what's actually inside there. I forgot entirely what happened back then. But this is not where we find him in any case that we have Susie along with us. So this likely is Chapter 4, I imagine, in the Extended Light World segment. I don't imagine we're going to be seeing the Light World a whole lot in Chapter 3, especially not in the middle of the day like this, considering that it happens at night. So that's that bit of a correction to make there. Then we have just some events and stuff, but the neat part that I want to talk about is the frequently asked questions, the FAQ, updated April 2nd, 2025. This has some pretty cool information. Not a whole lot of new stuff, but there's some things that are pretty cool to talk about. So we know that it'll cost $24.99 in North America, and roughly equivalent in other areas as well. Future chapters are free. So I mentioned this before. Very generous. Toby seems to believe that he's being very generous here. An awesome deal. A special deal, you could say. Because he believes that he's charging the price of 4 chapters. He thinks it's fair to charge the price of what the game currently is. He thinks that the first 4 chapters are worth $25, which I agree, very worth it. But he says that even then, he's not going to charge anything else for future chapters, even though he could charge like $40 to $50 probably at this rate, like relative to the price of each chapter. But here he says nothing, because they're going to be free updates. So as long as you buy the game, you get the rest of the chapters for free. So it's kind of like buying the Smash Bros. Fighter Pass, I guess, you know? And it's on all platforms, Switch and PS4, and Switch 2 and PS5, and PC and Mac and Steam and yada yada. Here's a more interesting question here. Is if you buy Deltarune on Switch 1 or Switch 2, do you get the other version as well? They're not entirely sure yet, it seems. We're hoping to make it so you only have to pay one price for both Switch and Switch 2 versions, but they're ironing out the details. We'll share more on this soon. In certain regions, local laws may require us to charge a small fee to acquire the other version after purchasing one of them. So Nintendo is doing this kind of thing where they have, if you want to play Breath of the Wild, for example, or Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch 2, you can get a Switch 2 edition that costs like $10 more, and essentially there's like an upcharge, I believe, to play the kind of like better version, the like definitive edition on the Switch 2. I think it's stupid, because I shouldn't have to pay $80 for Breath of the Wild. That's a Wii U game. But regardless, so they might charge like a bit of an upcharge, like $2 or whatever, to play it on the Switch 2, because it'll probably maybe potentially have some kind of update to it. The only update that Toby has talked about, and seemingly the only one that he wants to have, be the difference between Switch 2 and other consoles, because we know that he has had some bigger console variations. In Undertale, he had the dog shrine, I think, and he also had the Mad Mew Mew fight on Switch. And so here, his change is, there's a mini game that we talked about in a previous video with the little like pink and yellow balls that you gotta block or whatever. The game in question is made for the mouse controls on the Switch 2 Joy-Cons that allow you to like slide them around and position them. So I believe you're supposed to be blocking them with the Joy-Cons, but that game still exists in all other versions. So the content is the same, but it's designed for those controls. So I don't anticipate that there'll be any extra content besides just you having it on Switch 2, which is, I really hope this isn't the case. I don't know why you'd have to pay for it again. Why wouldn't I just do like a data transfer? Because they have that on the Switch 2. You can transfer data between 1 and 2. So I don't know why you'd have to buy the game again. Hopefully not. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm not understanding what's happening here. But yeah. How about on PS4 and PS5? Basically the same news. I think this is more likely to work out, because I think maybe Sony is a bit more reasonable, and also whatever laws there are. This might not even be like a Sony problem or a Nintendo problem. It says local laws, so that might be kind of a dumb law, and it might be like a law problem, not a company problem. Who am I to say, right? Physical version, he has one for Undertale. It's pretty sweet. I don't own it, but it looks pretty cool, like the cool like collector's edition bundle kind of deal. Someday probably, but not yet. I know that when it does come out, I'll be buying it, because Deltarune is my favorite game of all time, even in its current state. I mean, obviously, I have a whole channel devoted to it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing the box art. I imagine the box art will either be... Well, no, it's almost certainly going to be the iconic picture of the blue like fountain like this. This is probably approximately the box art, I imagine, just sized better for a game, package. So I'm looking forward to this, seeing whatever they have in like the little like collector's edition maybe. But that's not until the game is finished, probably. Like all 7 chapters, I assume, are out. There's not much variation between the versions. I already talked about that. But that's more in the newsletter as well. I'm on a different computer or console account from the one I played the demo with. Do I have to replay chapters 1 and 2 before I can try 3 and 4? No, so we already know you can start from any chapter you want. Obviously, he recommends you to play the first chapters, all in order, obviously. Start at 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you already played it before, you don't have to. And even then, like, it gives you the shadow crystals if you've beaten the boss before. So even here, like, you can jump in. Now, I do think that this is overlooking the fact that if you start on 3 or 4 without any previous data, you don't get the eggs, and you don't get the shadow crystals on a brand new account, I assume, because you only get the shadow crystals after you've beaten the boss once, at least, on a different account, or on a different save file, I mean. So I still would think that you would have to, like, build your save file to get all the cool, like, side quests done. So this is still not entirely, like, true. Like, yeah, exactly, like, story-wise, it's okay. But, like, the nitty-gritty details, not necessarily, but it's alright. Because I already have my save files built. I have 1 normal and 1 Snowgrave, and I have all the side stuff done. I'll be playing the chapters again closer to the release. Maybe I'll play them, like, the day before, and just marathon them. Like, 1 and 2 Pacifist, and then 1 and 2 Snowgrave. I'll do that on stream for you guys, probably, so stay tuned for that. Is that a sequel to Undertale? It's not the world of Undertale. The ending in the world are as you left it. Maybe you did genocide and you're a monster, so maybe you left it like that. If they're all happy there, they'll still be happy. This is a way of saying you're not doing what the game warns you about in Undertale. Like, please don't reset, please don't keep playing, because the characters are happy. If you play Deltarune, brand new world, brand new characters, don't worry about it. Obviously, there are characters that are the same, but they're not the same, like, being. So don't worry about ruining your happy ending, or your terrible ending, perhaps, depending on what you chose to do. Deltarune's world is a different one. Different characters that have lived different lives. A whole new story will happen. I don't know what you call this kind of game. People like to call it a parallel game. He calls it a parallel game in the trailer, actually. So this is basically the same spiel as previously. Now, I will say, he says it's a game to play. You can play after you complete Undertale if you want to. That's all. People seem to have this impression that, oh, Toby doesn't need to do marketing, which 2 months of marketing and stuff is longer than most people were expecting. I was giving like a week to a month at most, but no worries there. People are like, why does he need to do marketing? We all know it's coming. We all know it's happening. We know it's happening in our like crazy, insane bubble, our echo chamber of Deltarune brain rot. I'm under the impression that the average person that played Undertale does not know that Deltarune exists. Deltarune is nowhere near as big as Undertale ever got, and it's obviously it's sad because I want Deltarune to be big or bigger because I love it so much and I want Toby to succeed as well. But like I was talking to a guy who's a pretty big gamer, and he played Undertale and he loved it, and he was seeing me make a thumbnail for a video, and he's like, Deltarune, it looks a lot like Undertale. What is that? And I'm like, it's the parallel kind of like pseudo spiritual successor to Undertale by the same developers. Oh, I haven't heard that before. This is like last week. So people don't just automatically know about Deltarune from playing Undertale. So I do think that it's important for him to kind of reach out and, you know, be out there in the market to attract players who have played his games and want to see more but don't know that he's making more projects. So that's my kind of my little soapbox there about that. Once again, are there connections? A different world that might even have different rules. This gets to the whole like monsters bleeding and can monsters use magic, and obviously dark worlds exist, which they might not in Undertale, and this and that. If you want to talk the semantics of the rules of the universes, plenty of videos out there. I have a few about that. Jaru has plenty about that. Lots of other creators have all kinds of stuff about the different rules of the universes, but once again, nothing really new here. That was already there before, I think, too. When do more chapters come out? Chapter 5 is now in development. We already knew that he was working on Chapter 5. This does seem to imply that Chapter 6 and 7 are not in development. So this also begs the question of, like, what what order is he going to like release the chapters in, because I could see him doing 5 and then 6 and 7. I could see him doing 5, 6 and then 7. I could see him doing 5 and then 6 and then 7 all separately. I could see him doing all of them together. So it depends. I'm not sure where I stand. I think I'd rather see 5 and then see 6 and 7 as the big finale. I think that's more likely. Either that or all of them at once. I do hope that we get 5 first to kind of like fill the time between 6 and 7. I could see 5 taking maybe a year and a half to 2 years. The process should go faster now that the game maker game_change mechanic is implemented, so we have that all worked out. We have the Switch 2 is now out, or will be out at that point, so we have kind of the various consoles all worked out. The game will officially be out. It'll be more than just a demo at that point. It'll be just making updates to the game, essentially. So it'll also a better team, more like supervisors, that kind of stuff. I think Chapter 5, we could see it late 2026, maybe, or early 27 seems pretty reasonable to me. So I could see that being what he does, is to put that one out first, and then do 6 and 7 as the grand finale afterwards, maybe a couple of years after that. So, that is that. Will you add to the demo? No, he's done with that. How many endings? 1. Now this is a bit strange, because people are like, well, here he says 1 period. And of course, this is old news. This has been here as from day 1. But people are like, why does he say 1 period here so confidently? And then on this page, you go back, it says only 1 ending? Oh, it's like question mark, like, is it really true? It's kind of like doubting its own sentence. I think that you're reading it wrong. I think that the question mark here, like the ... question mark and only 1 ending, is kind of Toby being like he's indicating the surprise of an Undertale fan seeing that Deltarune has 1 ending and being surprised by there not being multiple. Because obviously he set a precedent for having a bunch of variations and a bunch of routes and endings. Even the neutral route has dozens of variations, and of course you have pacifist and genocide, and he's kind of set this precedent for having a bunch of endings and stuff. And I talk about this in my Layers of Fiction video, where I'm like, hey, maybe he's getting kind of concerned that he's getting boxed in by fans expecting there to be multiple endings and lots of meta elements and stuff. But anyway, I think that he knows that Undertale players expect there to be multiple endings, so he's like, there's 1 ending, but by saying like only 1 ending, he's not like, wink wink, I'm not telling the whole truth. He's saying like, you know, he's expressing that people are going to be confused by that. Like, oh, this is a Toby game and it only has 1 ending, huh? Like that, essentially. You can... Oh yeah, also there's more important things than reaching the end. I've already talked about this a number of times as well. Like, you know, how you get there matters. It's the journey and not the destination, and yada yada, right? Email for bugs. You can buy the full soundtrack on Bandcamp and iTunes, and also on Steam once it comes out. Closing remarks. Thanks for taking interest in the game. I don't believe my game is for every person, but to a certain type of person, attuned to a certain type of way, this game can reach a meaning beyond its appearance and will find a shape in your heart. Even if there's just one person that feels that way, I'll keep making this game to grow by your side. See you again soon. A very heartfelt message here from Toby. I can say that this game has already found a place in my heart, and it's nowhere even close to telling the full story yet. So, Toby, if you need 1 person, you found the 1 person. I'm in your camp. I'm in your corner. Keep working hard, and I will keep supporting you with whatever you do. And yeah, that is essentially the end of the question, the frequently asked questions here. He's not looking for new team members, so don't try to submit your resume to him. If you want to use Deltarune content, email him for stuff. And will you offer Deltarune in other languages? Currently, just Japanese and English, so not a whole lot new to talk about with those kinds of things. But, yeah. Also, people have mentioned they did add suggestive themes as one of the ESRB rating things. So, and also mild blood is interesting because mentions of blood apparently don't count as mild blood, so we're going to be seeing blood at some point. So that's pretty interesting. Maybe that confirms that the stain in the little, like, cage wagon thing in Chris's room is blood, for starters, but I don't know. So, yeah, that's the frequently asked questions. That's all my thoughts on those things. With that in mind, thanks for watching the video. If you made it this far in the video, you must like the video, so why not like the video? Also, shout out to Rosie Pixels, Frisky512, Blake the Snake, Aherman24, Glee, Foxworthy, The Amazing, Fruit Salad team member, Calm Luke, and our 2 Crazy Juice team members, Tybee and Liz. That in mind, I love you guys. Be safe, be smart, don't be stupid, and have a great rest of your day.